You're listening to the Real Returns podcast, where we learn how real investments can make a real impact. Join your hosts, Andrew and Dan, as they share stories and interview business leaders on how real estate and other forms of investment can create meaningful change for individuals and communities around the world.
Hey folks, Andrew Reichert here with another episode of the Real Returns podcast. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're actually going to do a recap of the entire second season. So every season we interview 8 guests, and this past season we've had some great interviews with some really interesting people doing things all across various industries in the impact investing space. And specifically, we really had some diversity in terms of the types of investing that folks are doing. And so just going to do a really quick recap of what folks have been doing and what I personally learned from each of those episodes. So for starters, we had Charles Carrillo. He is a real estate syndicator, and he basically raises capital from investors into a particular real estate deal. Now, recently in the news, syndicators have been getting a little bit of a bad rep. And so I was really excited to talk to Charles about how he differentiates himself and really to hear somebody operate with integrity and values among, an industry where there's questions around those types of qualities in syndicators. Charles, one of the things I really liked about him was he talked about focusing on building a team that has diverse skills and really focusing on the strengths of each team member. I think there's real wisdom there in leveraging the diversity of a team to achieve optimal results. He's also been through a recession, the 2008, 2009 crash. So as we look at, some of the dynamics that are happening in the market right now, where folks are getting nervous about a recession, folks like Charles are kind of saying, been there, done that. It really comes with some assurance for folks who have been investing in real estate for at least the past 15 years or so to say, hey, I've been through a cycle. This is normal. It comes, it goes. And so I really loved his approach to stewarding investor dollars and investing in real estate syndications.
It's best to always start, I think, on the limited partner passive side and really find out how it works from their side, and then seeing what you like and what you don't. It's simple things that indicators drop the ball on. I think one of them is communications. I try to mark out a half hour to an hour every morning of just working with investors, answering questions in depth to them, not short answers.
Next, we had James Brown. Now, James actually does rent-to-own real estate investing. This is really unique. It was new for me to kind of hear about the strategy. One of the things they do is they work with renters to help them buy their property. Now, that particular industry has actually had a bad rap a little bit over the past years because some folks actually take a bit of a predatory approach to that and never really end up wanting to help the renters buy the home, and they end up pocketing the deposit and just having them rent kind of more into perpetuity. Now, what I loved about James's approach is he really tries to get people to buy their home. And so he's redeeming this concept of rent-to-own investing. And one of the things I like that he does is he works with the lenders to help these renters that want to be homeowners to get a mortgage so that they can buy their house. So he's really working on win-win deals with these renters, with investors, and with lenders to put this deal together, get people to buy their house, and come out with a win-win for everybody. Incredible strategy. Really enjoyed talking to James.
Yeah, the returns are really good with this model to regular rentals. A big difference is somebody that's got skin in the game, especially if they're putting down 10% or more. They've picked out the house. They've got an owner's mindset. We ask them to take care of some of the basic repairs. So as an investor, you've got somebody that has a vested interest in the house and isn't likely to punch holes in the wall or anything like that. They're more likely to fix up the house because it's theirs or going to be theirs. You don't have to worry about property management.
Next, we had Kyle Stevenson. So Kyle has an incredible story. Kind of started at the bottom, ended up at the top. He's assembled a portfolio of over 4,000 units that he's managing across multiple states. And what he does is he helps to find value add turnaround properties. So he's got a ton of experience, again, been through the 2008 kind of market crash and managed properties, managed expectations during those times. One of the things I loved about Kyle's approach to impact was he focuses on three key stakeholders. And what he thinks about is showing respect to his tenants, treat tenants with respect the way that you would want to be treated, steward those investor dollars. So for the stakeholder of the investor, he thinks of it as stewardship and really helping to take a approach of, hey, I'm caring for somebody else's capital. And I loved his approach to his leadership team, his employees, and his company. He talks about teamwork and really recognizing the values of each other among his leadership team. One of the things he said during the interview was, now that I see what it's like to have a very high functioning, very teamwork oriented leadership team, I will never go back to having a team that is dysfunctional or having problems in any way. So a lot to learn from Kyle about building a strong leadership team and leveraging teamwork in order to achieve success.
Make sure the dollars are right, make sure you're underwriting. But all of that stuff that you do, what you're going to realize is just some of the assumptions you made are going to be incorrect. The beautiful thing about real estate is that time will heal your mistakes.
Then we actually had a couple, Maddie and Patrick Gergen. So this was so cool. Maddie and Patrick both were in the real estate space together. They met at a real estate conference, and then they ended up getting married and partnering in real estate together. Now, I was particularly fond of this story because my wife and I have actually worked together for about a decade now, growing our company from where we were 10 years ago to where we are today. And so I was really interested to hear, hey, what's it like for you working as spouses and as business partners? What are the challenges you run into? What are the, opportunities that actually creates? And they have amazing hearts. They're so impact oriented. One of the things I love is their heart for caring for each other in that, and also caring for their tenants. So they do some really cool things with their tenants. They do tenant events at their properties where they get all the tenants together and help them meet each other and get to know each other. They actually help provide their tenants with meals. So they actually work with their tenants who may otherwise not have a meal to help get their kids meals after school and really care for them. So such a cool impact-oriented real estate operation. I really love what they're doing down there in Texas.
We buy C-class properties and then renovate them in order to bring them up to a B-. And the reason that we buy C-class is because that's the communities that we feel that we can impact the most. They're working people, and we do things in order to be able to help them.
The big, I think, educational piece that we like to educate our investors is that when you're focused on a double bottom line, meaning that it's not just your dollars, it's not just the investment, but it's the impact as well.
Next, we had Tyler Smith. Tyler is probably the youngest person we've had on the podcast, and he is just absolutely crushing it. One of the quotes that Tyler said is he really achieves his goals by helping other people achieve theirs. So he talked about, hey, I was just on Instagram and I posted to all my friends and they started following me, and I just hired my friends and I'm helping them to be successful. It reminded me of something one of my mentors said to me before. My mentor said he defines his success by the success of his team. So Tyler takes this approach to running a real estate company, kind of wholesaling, flipping houses, doing those kinds of things, taking distressed properties, turning them around. But for him, it's really people-oriented. He's saying, hey, I define my success by the success of my people, not necessarily by the success of this one particular project or the financials that are on the financial statement. So very social impact-oriented, really cool story.
I really believe that the best way for you to reach your goals is to help others reach theirs, right? So even anybody in passing, hey, if there's anything I can do to help you, whether that's finding deals, selling deals, getting you a loan, offering you some feedback, giving you some type of knowledge, money's good, right? That's great. But at the end of the day, that's not like the end all be all. And I think one of the main things that I realized when I first started my company is like, I would rather have a full table and share with everybody rather than have a full table all to myself.
Then we had Chris 70. So Chris is, again, doing something really unique. One of the things I realized is there are a million ways to invest and even a million ways to kind of make money in real estate. A lot of these folks are real estate operators, but they're all doing different things. So what Chris is doing is he's actually buying distressed mortgages and helping to turn those assets around. So again, this is another area where folks have maybe given this space a bad name by being predatory around this. Maybe they buy the note and they just evict the current owners and try to move on with the property, maybe rent it out at a higher rate. His approach to this kind of impact investing is instead of evicting these borrowers who are behind on their payments, he wants to keep them in their homes. So he buys these non-performing loans and he works with these current homeowners to keep them in their homes. So really creating a win-win situation for these borrowers, helping them refinance at lower rates and helping them stay in their homes. Now, he then works with investors to help them get exposure to that type of investment. So again, just really creating this win-win situation where a borrower has gotten behind on their payments, but he helps them turn it around, stay in their home, work with an investor, work with a lender, and then kind of move it back into a better situation. So great story. Loved hearing from him.
On a rare occasion, we will have some borrowers who are combative that basically think that they are owed something or they've been treated wrong or whatever case may be. We'll try and work with them, but it's got to be a win-win situation where they need to basically step up and start making some commitments. And if they make commitments, we'll of course make the commitments.
Then we had Brad Shepard. So Brad really does an interesting business. He's working as a sort of private equity shop, but they're not operating the assets. So he's hiring a local operator, which one of the things that's really important about that is he has to vet these operators to make sure that they are going to be living out his values. So he talked a lot about his process for vetting local operators and what does it look like to find a values and mission aligned operator that is aligned with his way of operating. They're doing these deep value add properties. They're, maybe doing some new construction, things like that. And he's helping people pull together the equity for those kinds of deals. So it's really important, when he's pitching that to investors and pulling the equity together, that he really understands the business plan. What are the risks involved? How are we mitigating those risks? And then helping to put the deal together in a way that gets a local operator that knows how to manage and deal with those risks to kind of execute on that business plan. So really interesting business, really interesting conversation with Brad.
Real estate is such a powerful tool. Buying a 300-unit apartment complex, in principle, is not unlike fixing and flipping a house, right? You're taking a property that's not optimized, or maybe it's a bit run down, and you make it better. And so that's better for the neighborhood. That's better for the people who are going to be living there. And so you've got this, you're lifting up a community by going through that process. Real estate.
Last but not least, our 8th guest was Justin Escajeda. He is actually local here in Pittsburgh. So we are headquartered in Pittsburgh, and so is he. Justin has really done an incredible job building a business from nothing. So, doing some of the building envelope kind of businesses like masonry restoration, roofing, and what he's actually done is bought businesses and assembled a bunch of businesses that do all these various trades, concrete, masonry, all of the various trades that kind of work on the building envelope. And what's cool about that is he talked about synergy. So he said, hey, by buying these buildings, I'm actually creating synergy that adds value to our customers. So our customers get value from being able to go to a one-stop shop. If you've got water getting into the asset, maybe your home or a building that you own, he has all of the trades under one roof that can help solve that issue. So creating those synergies to help customers have a one-stop shop, but also really adding value to folks where he's buying their businesses. He talked about, hey, I'm helping these people sell their business and achieve their dreams. And so, buying a business is, many times something that people aspire to, maybe are a little bit intimidated by. But for him, it's about creating win-win situations by buying businesses that complement his existing business set. So really developing a bit of a portfolio of companies and allowing those companies to benefit from each other in the way that they're operating. And he actually keeps a consistent management team as well. So that way there's synergies with sort of consolidated management managing multiple companies.
If I'm going to spend millions of dollars on a company, why would I go in and change a ton of stuff? I'll just start one from the ground up and save a lot of money. You know what I mean? And now here's the thing too. You got to consider the workforce. A big important thing for me is to make sure that current workforce knows that, hey, I like the company the way it is. That's why I want to buy it. If I didn't like the company the way it is, I wouldn't buy it. So I'm not going to change anything. There might be small tweaks here and there, like any major processes.
So fascinating conversation with Justin. And that concludes our second season. So hopefully if you missed any of those episodes, and any of them sound interesting, go back and check them out. I really enjoyed all 8 of the guests that we had this season, and I'm really looking forward to next season. Thanks for joining, and we will talk to you all soon. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Real Returns Podcast. We hope that you learned something new about how you can invest to make a lasting impact on those around you. Please be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you listen to your podcasts, leave us a review, and share about us on social media. We hope you will join us for our next episode, where we will be continuing the conversation around impactful real estate investing.